All right, I'm going to open this up by first of all, if somebody's dead out in the open, you don't go and resurrect them if the thing that killed them is still on the map. So we're going to talk a little bit about enthusiasm versus ego agendas. I've been noticing this. This has been a thing since the very start of Destiny. Um, Bungie's already declared that there is nothing else changing in the game. They're not doing anything more than what they've already claimed that they're going to do before Final Shape takes place. Final Shape is more than just the closing chapter of the Light Dark saga in Destiny. It is literally an admission that the game will not be evolving anymore. There will be no new maps, there will be no new enemies, there will be no new anything. Maybe some new weapons, but mostly they'll probably just be rerolls or reskins of whatever archetypes we're playing with at the present time. That, of course, being rolled up into their plan for advancing, or I would say deviating the diversifying the archetypes as they are at the moment. I am still going to keep requesting that they could probably sneak in a little bit of code that might turn some otherwise gribbly Xenos looking pieces of shit into something a little bit more aesthetically, humanly aesthetic, human aesthetics. Something that doesn't look like a fucking spiky turd that you pulled out of your cat's litter box. That's kind of what I'm after. Because actually, yes, the end game will, of course, be nothing but aesthetics. That's all there is to it. Anthropologically and sociologically, if you look at human development through the ages, societal development through the ages, those societies who had stable governments, stable resources, stable uh, legal structures, there wasn't a lot of oppression, there wasn't a lot of debauchery. They had time to explore aesthetics. Well, of course, debauchery does come from that eventually, but before getting into their hedonism and Hellenistic periods, most societies, when they're not so concerned about survival anymore, they start to develop things like art, and from art comes culture, and from culture becomes innovation and invention and exploration and unfortunately colonization in many cases. But you get my point, is that if a person spends so much time just trying to win, they're not ever going to explore. They're not going to diversify. They're not going to want to seek any kind of challenges beyond the scope of just getting food in mouth and butthole on fucking safe place to shit. So, where does this fall into enthusiasm versus ego? It kind of runs parallel with it. You have an enthusiasm for a thing because you feel passionate about it. You want to see it thrive. You want to see yourself and the community around you thrive within this thing. And this is what early part of what Destiny was. There was a lot of enthusiasm in Destiny. There was a lot of explosion for, community and things like that. But long before the major influencer channels took root and started to grow their actual communities, there was lots of talk amongst friends at gaming clubs and through the discourse of chat rooms and things like that. And then with the advent of you know in game communication, Bungie started relaxing a little bit more about letting players talk with each other, because I know that a lot of the reason why Bungie didn't like that was because there was a lot of toxicity amongst the player versus player and hardcore player versus environment groups. This enthusiasm turns into aggression and toxicity, and it can become a problem. Well, what happens was that enthusiasm starts butting up alongside ego agendas. And it's just a term I throw out there. I don't know if it's actually an official sociological or psychological term. But an ego agenda is basically just what it says on the tin. It's an agenda that you're supporting in favor of bolstering your ego. The ultimate goal, of course, is to make you feel powerful, make you feel important, make you feel affirmed and acknowledged and accepted and desired amongst your peers. This is basically boiling down to a primordial instinct to what is called breeder rights. A lot of the displays that animals or organisms do in front of members of their own sex and opposite sex is all about showing them that they have more right to perpetuate their DNA than you do. This also falls back to my whole analysis of how pretty much everything we do in this world is generated by fear. We are afraid we're not going to have resources. We're afraid we are going to be denied access to resources. And one of those resources, of course, is the ability to perpetuate our DNA, not just our physical DNA, but our spiritual or intellectual or cultural DNA, what we consider to be important to the propagation of our, self. We're all seeking a form of immortality, and this is where the ego agenda comes into. Why leaderboards, I think, are a bad thing is because it does. It's that it creates that strata amongst players. Who's the hardcore? Who's the casual? Who's here to win? Who's here just to fucking farm resources? Who's here just to fucking say they played the game? Yeah, I played Destiny. I'm cool. As opposed to like somebody who's actually playing the game because they enjoy it. They enjoy the aesthetics. They enjoy the mechanics. They enjoy the subject matter. They enjoy the themes. They have an enthusiasm for the game that far and exceeds anything that might be changed or taken away or added to, or however which way you want to define this concept in the game. It's basically, you're going to like the game no matter what. Even when you feel like you're just being disrespected or discounted as non-essential because you're not buying everything in the game, you still find your way into the game and you still find a way to have fun with the game. Just that's kind of what I'm doing. I stopped buying stuff. I haven't bought the last 2 season expansions. I did not buy this annual expansion. I don't know if I'm going to get Final Shape or not. I might. By that time, Lightfall will be free to play, and I'll be exploring the content then. I'm in no rush to get things done in the game anymore. I'm at a point right now where, well, I don't have to worry about putting food in my mouth or putting my ass somewhere safe to take a shit. I can actually explore the aesthetics. I can enjoy the nuances in the game's style and stuff. Unfortunately, I still have to play with other players. And that's where I'm starting to like get a little bit tired of, because now I'm no longer worried about just winning at the game. Now I'm starting to observe things I didn't want to really have to focus on, like ego agendas. Like people running around fucking hogging kills, people running around deliberately manipulating mechanics in the game so that they can get an advantage over you, and you're supposed to be a teammate. This is a cooperative experience for the most part, even in PvP. And I'm finding that a 6v6 is really a 1v11 most times because people are trying to fucking get more kills, they're trying to complete bounties, they're trying to, max out their KDR or combat efficiency as it's called these days. And it just gets in the way of what could be a truly fun and engaging community again. I want to bring back the enthusiasm. In order to do that, you just gotta fucking park that ego somewhere else. Like leave it, I don't know, how about that? Leave it on the football field. Leave it at the bar. Leave it at the dance club. Leave it at the DJ stand. Leave it in your bedroom, sitting on the nightstand next to the Vaseline and Kleenex. Just fucking put it somewhere other than here and just play the game and try to embrace that enthusiasm you used to have again. And realize that we're all playing together. It's not just, this is not just some kind of hippy-dippy, feel-good kind of speech I want to put out there. I was just like, the game's not going to change anymore. Bungie's already said this. They're confirming it. It's set in stone. It's the final shape. The final shape. So how are we going to grow the game? We're going to have to grow ourselves now. That's what we're going to have to do. And the only way that's going to happen is if you set aside your own personal ego agendas, not necessarily your team agendas, not necessarily your clan agendas. If your clan is all about raids and trials and shit like that and the hardcore stuff, then yeah, that's the narrative you want to keep. That's the narrative you want to, read out to your community. Perfectly fine. Make sure that you include people in your group that support that. Don't just take on any old individual and without making it fully clear to them that there are going to be some expectations and this is what we, are looking for. And if you feel you are a match, then you're welcome to stay. But if you don't feel you're a match, there's no shame, no hurt of pride to say, nope, not really my cup of tea. I'm going to go to the coffee shop instead. And come join the Kung Fu Monks. Because we actually really are all about the enthusiasm of the game. We really are all about just getting together and playing and having fun and knowing that the person standing next to you does not have some ulterior bounty and motive. It is going to be basically like a sociopath exploiting you to get their ends. We're pretty damn chill here. And I know this is not a video to advertise for the Gun Fu Monks. This is just explaining that there are a variety of groups that you can engage with. And you don't have to be a rando playing by yourself with, variable crowds. I mean, I personally like it for the most part because it allows me to develop my sense of empathy, but it hurts me also because I am being empathetic to my teammates and trying to figure out what it is they are trying to accomplish and help them accomplish it. It hurts my heart that they're not thinking the same way, that they are totally wrapped up in their own little agendas. They don't give a fuck about anybody else. You are nothing more than a high-functioning NPC. That kills my enthusiasm. That's kind of basically all there is to it. So, thank you for stopping by, and until next time, find yourself a nice, enthusiastic group that's truly there to play the game, has gotten to the point where they're not so concerned about winning as they are about exploring the aesthetics and growing themselves as a player. Yeah, it's a little Roddenberry, I guess.